11 o'clock or midnight, one of my sons showed up. We have 4 children. Our oldest son lives in Portland. Our middle son at that time, he and his wife lived in San Francisco. Our daughter was in the Middletown area, and our youngest son lives in Hawaii. He teaches high school English at Punahou High School. And our middle son showed up, and he was growing up, he never understood no. And when they told him he couldn't come, he said, "I'm going." He said, "My mom and my sister and her kids are trapped in a field. My dad's in trouble. He needs help." And so he came.
And he was able to get through?
He was not going to be denied. He came through Pope Valley, and they said, "You can't go." And he said, "Well, I'm going." And a sheriff, I think it was a Napa City policeman, said, "I'll escort you." And he got to the entrance of the Gwinnett Ranch, and Wes said, "I'm going through there. Their ranch joins ours, and we share roads and gates." And he said, "I'm heading in through a back way." And the policeman said, "You're on your own. I'm not going in there." And he ran in. He got within a half a mile of my wife, and he ran into flames like 20 feet tall, and the power line's down. It's a road that's lined with brush, and he couldn't get through. And then he had to spend some time on a dam as the fire was burning around him. And then he just said, "I've got to go." And he went back the main road, ended up back on Highway 29 and turned on Grange Road. And there were lots of fire trucks out there. And he said, "My dad's in trouble, follow me." And a Cal Fire battalion chief or captain, wasn't local, followed him in. And they showed up about midnight. And I was totally exhausted. And my daughter-in-law had brought some apple juice and some trail mix, and she said, "Eat this and drink this," and I did.
She was with your son?
She was with our son. I'd had my Camelback and I had some water, but that revitalized me, and away we went.
What was it like when they came up the drive?
There was a lot of fire coming right back towards the house. It was burning very, very, very actively, and it got to within 50 feet of our house. And the Cal Fire guy said, "There's a lot to protect here. I'll see if I can get you a truck." They brought 2 trucks, and they said, "We can stay for an hour." And they cut what they call a scratch line, just a line about 1.5 feet wide. And then they tried to backfire it. Unfortunately, they were a little close to one of the barns. They almost set one of the barns on fire. And the trucks had to leave, and they didn't realize they'd almost set one of the barns on fire. And my son and I put it out. And we continued fighting the fire all night long. And to backtrack, about 11 o'clock or so, the propane tanks in the ranchos of Hidden Valley Lake, they have a vent to protect them from rupturing. And they have it's kind of a whoosh sound. It sounds identical to a mortar. And I had flashbacks. I was back in Vietnam. It was an absolute flashback. The sights, sounds, smells, and everything were a flashback. And those are real. I've had some before, but this was very real. And I had to force myself. I said, "Hey, old man, that war's over from 40 some odd years ago. You've got to fight this one." Because you don't want to do it. You want to hunker down and try to be safe. And I forced myself back and kept fighting the fire behind the barn. And then my son and I stayed till daylight, fighting it. And by daylight, for us, it had moved on. There were still lots and lots and lots of hot spots, but the major part of the fire had moved on.